Ever throw a compressor on a track and it feels like nothing happened? You're not alone. I used the same industry standard compressors for years and never got that magic mojo everyone raves about. But after almost 2 decades of producing, I finally found a handful of compressors that actually feel addictively musical. So in this video, I'm going to show you the ones that give me goosebumps every time and why every producer should have at least one of them in their toolkit. And if you're ready to take your compression further without getting lost in settings or second guessing every move, I put together the Punch Map compression cheat sheet. It's packed with a ton of helpful tips and tricks to help you turn any compressor into a mixed gluing punch adding monster without any of the guesswork. So when I first started making music, compression felt like a puzzle that everyone else had already solved. I had the same pieces, the same plugins, but I couldn't see the picture, not the way other people could. Someone would tweak a threshold and go, oh yeah, that's it. And I would just nod there like I heard something life-changing, while quietly inside I was panicking. Then McDSP dropped the 6030 Ultimate Compressor, and that was it. Suddenly I was starting to recognize the character of different types of compressors. So let's pull up the 6030 so you can hear how setting the compressor on here and then going through the different modules can really help you feel and hear all the different characters of compression when the settings are relative. And as we go through compressors, you'll see how some of the settings will move based on the parameters that are allowed. And it's a really helpful thing to hear. So let me dial in this one.
What did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything! Take me to eternity! Running in circles, there is no escape!
And now I'm going to start going through each one of these modules.
Why did it become so hard to breathe? What did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything! Take me to eternity! Running in circles, there is no escape! Bloodshot eyes stare into space. Why did it become so hard to breathe? What did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape. Bloodshot eyes stare into space. Why did it become so hard to breathe? What did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything! Take me to eternity! Running in circles, there is no escape! Bloodshot eyes stare into space!
What made this all exciting was once I found a sound I vibed with, I'd grab 2 or 3 other compressors that had the same flavor and then try to spot the difference in the characters of those variations of the compressor. That's when I stopped just using compression and started discovering my taste. That one plugin triggered a chain reaction. My ears started to develop, and it was what allowed me to hear the magic of the McDSP 4030 retro compressor. Now, on an SSL channel strip, when you're compressing something, it is very program dependent. What that means is that it listens to the incoming audio and the attack and release work how they're supposed to work, but the attack is a little bit more program dependent, meaning if you have like a slower kick drum and then it speeds up, where the attack on that compressor happens is going to be a little bit different. When audio comes through this compressor, it very much acts in that same type of capacity. So it varies in its sound based on what kind of input is coming into the compressor. And it's really fun to really push things on this one.
Why did it become so hard to breathe? What did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything! Take me to eternity! Running in circles, there is no escape! Bloodshot eyes stare into space! Why did it become so hard to breathe? What did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything! Take me to eternity! Running in circles, there is no escape! Bloodshot eyes stare into space! Why did it become so hard to breathe? What did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything! Take me to eternity! Running in circles, there is no escape!
It just really pushes that vocal up and it sounds freaking awesome on it. It really sounds good on everything, and what's really helpful is it has the mix control, and you can also sidechain to it and then listen to the sidechain. So there's a lot of flexibility with this plugin. Now, another cool thing about when I was in audio school, I got exposed to what a lot of engineers call the Swiss Army knife of compression. The Empirical Labs distressor uses VCA circuitry, but it's engineered to emulate famous styles of compressors and their responses. But what makes the distressor special is how many different ways it can shape your sound. You get a ton of ratio settings, from light compression all the way to brick wall limiting. And each ratio actually changes the character of the compressor. This compressor was what actually made me start thinking of ratio as an attitude control on compressors. And then you've got distortion modes. One adds harmonic grit, the other brings more edge and attitude. Then there's a detector sidechain EQ that tells the distressor how to react to low end and top end information from the signal. But you don't really get why they're loved until you hear them and see them in action. So let me show you. So with the distressor, what makes this so unique is that some compressors, and probably what you've been taught by other people, is you don't want to compress too much. And if you made it this far, you've noticed that I compress the hell out of things. And I feel like if you're going to compress something, compress it. And I actually got that because when I was in audio school, when I got to use these, I remember I got to about 5 or 6 dB of reduction, and an instructor came in and he was like, huh. And I looked very perplexed. I was like, am I doing something wrong? He's like, no, just very light on the distressor. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, the cool part about using a distressor is getting into the yellow zone and then letting the peaks get into the red zone. And I remember working with Bo, he was kind of the same mind. He's like, yeah, usually like, 10 to 16 or 14, whatever it is. He's like, when your peaks hit that, that's when you're actually making it do what a distressor does and that sound that you enjoy. When you push it, that's where the fun really happens on these things. So distressors sound really cool on drum rooms, vocals, bass, snares, kicks, everything. Even guitars. There's not one thing this thing doesn't sound cool on. I want to use it on drums because I feel like that's the best example pretty much with every compressor to hear what the compressor can do. And I keep looping this one section because the drums are moving so much, there's so much cymbal work, that if a compressor can handle this, in my opinion, it can basically handle everything. So let's dial in this distressor. I never had access to a distressor plugin from Universal Audio because Spark became something about 2, 3 years ago. I think the closest I ever got was 2 plugins, one called Smack from Avid, it's in Pro Tools, and then this one right here from Kush Audio. Now, This isn't a one-for-one distressor plugin. This is Gregory Scott's rendition in the box of his modified distressors that he would make. It has a very different sound, but it still sounds very, very cool. So let's actually dial this in so you can start hearing a little bit of difference. I'm going to keep it at the 6-to-1 ratio. Let's bring in the high pass circuit. Now, on the regular distressor, the high pass circuit, I believe, works at 80 hertz, and this one works at 60 hertz or 250 hertz. And then there are your even and odd harmonics, but these are a little overdriven. And then let's throw it to gain reduction. And the attack and release controls on this are so sensitive. Let's take a listen. Yeah. Yeah, this thing just sounds super gnarly and just so grabby. It is worth mentioning that I think this one is meant to emulate like I forgot which versions, like the EL8X or 7X or something like that. This one's pretty cool. It's not normally one that I go to, but every once in a while, if I want something different in a distressor sound, I will reach for this one. And let's take a listen to this one. Let's engage some of the stuff that I know I want. Let's take a listen. one sounds pretty cool. And there are two others. I don't know if both of these are available anymore, or if it's just one of them. I can't remember. But at some point in time, Kive Audio had first released their like distressor-ish type plugin, and then I think they got bought out or something by no, they had like a deal or something with Plugin Alliance. So they got rid of one of them and then released the new one. I don't remember off the top of my head which one right now is on the website, but I have both versions because that is how long I've been following Kive Audio. And yeah, if you want like a quick nuke sound, these are pretty cool. I'm gonna do a slow attack, fast release, and let's take a listen to this one. Yep, these sound cool. I don't know which one's the one that's available, but here's the granddaddy. Anyone who's known me for any amount of time knows that I absolutely freaking love this plugin. So when Dave Durr, the creator and founder of Empirical Labs, wanted to make a plugin, he had already started licensing the distressors, and I think that he maybe didn't want to be in competition with himself. He already had the hardware, he had plugins that were licensing themselves to do the distressor thing. I think he wanted to do something different, and that's why Arouser exists. There's not very many interviews in terms of him talking about Arouser besides there's like a few articles, but a lot of people approach this plugin like it's like a distressor, but yes and no. And if you read the manual, this plugin was designed to basically be, I don't want to say successor, but like the next evolution of what a distressor could be, but without the limitations of what hardware could introduce and what the components and things that he likes to do could make possible within the digital realm. So the Arouser is really kind of like a distressor 2.0, which is quoted straight from the manual. Now, what's really cool about it is because of that, there are a lot more extras that we get in the box. So for example, usually on a distressor, if you take it to slowest attack, fastest release, you go into opto mode. And then usually with opto mode, you would have to go to 10:1 ratio on a distressor, and it says a 2 on there, and you're in opto mode. Here, you can use any of the ratios that you want, but yes, you could also hit the 10:1, but the newest update allows you to have two different opto modes in terms of attack and release. So you have more options than was available before. Another thing to note is that on the ratio, you can go from a 6:1, 8:1 to a 6.5:1 to a 7.1. And if you're someone who is trying to get a distressor type ratio sound and you're using, let's say, a 4:1, and you're like, this compressor isn't compressing like the distressors in my studio. In the manual, it states like, if you're used to 4:1, go up one. So there's 6:1. So for this example, everything I think I've been doing has been 6:1. So I'll be sticking to like 8:1 to kind of dial this in. Let's go back up here. Another cool thing is you saw like distortion 2 and distortion 3. So distortion 2 adds second order harmonics, which are more even and very like nice on the ears. And then distortion 3 adds third order harmonics, which are odd and a little bit more abrasive. Now, the cool part is with this plugin, you can actually dial in the amount of saturation that you want, and it will tell you right here where you're going in terms of harmonic distortion. And then if you hit the expert mode, you can try it pre and post, as well as add more second harmonics. So you can really dial in the saturation. Now, right next to it is a cool control that, as far as I can remember, there's only a couple of plugins that allow you to do this, and it's the attack modifications. So normally with the distressor, if you have very transient heavy material and the compressor starts grabbing at the transients and kind of dulls out the sound because it's grabbing at them so fast, you can use this attack modification to modify the attack so more transient is allowed to push through. Then you have your high pass detector. You can take it to 80 hertz, which is what's on the distressor, or you can take it to 110, which is a blue dot here. Same thing with the detector sidechain. This is giving you the band pass, and you can adjust adjust the Q and or the bandwidth, however you want to call it, and you can adjust the frequencies pretty much across the whole spectrum. Then you have the blend control, and you hit expert mode, you can adjust the amount of dry level trim. But what's really cool is if you don't want any of these parameters available, you can just come over here and turn them all off. They're all bypassable if you want. And then there's also this stereo link image. This thing is so sick, and like, let's dial it in. Yeah, that thing sounds just awesome. And what's really cool is you have like this new version of the nuke mode with Rivet, which just takes it all over the top. Now, a Rouser is a VCA style compressor that can emulate different types of compressor grabs and feels. But since we're on VCAs, I do want to talk about Old Reliable. Now, I never personally could get into an SSL bus style compressor. I would use them, but they never sounded how I wanted them to sound. So because of that, one of the compressors that we had in the studio B, I think it was, or Studio C, was an API 2500. And I always thought that it just sounded rock to me. It just sounded different. I love it on drum buses, guitars, and also mixed buses and toms. It sounds great. Then there is the actual like first VCA compressor plugin that I liked that was supposed to be like an SSL style. I think this one's like a, yeah, quad discrete. Throw in here. I remember the reason I found this one was Bo was using an Allen Smart Comp, which is like basically a VCA SSL style compressor, but he wanted to go in the box because he was tired of using that compressor. And I went on a wild goose chase for like a week trying every VCA style compressor in the box to get me that type of sound. He gave me a wet drum mix and printed with the Allen Smart, and then gave me the dry, and basically through phase cancellation, all sorts of tests, like this is the one I came to that I was like, this one's pretty close to what we're trying to get. It's just that Allen Smart one has a different vibe. So let's take a listen to this one. Yeah, still sounds sick. Don't use it that often anymore. And then the other one that I got, I forgot, it was some forum somewhere, and I remember seeing a bunch of people talk about like the best sounding SSL compressor. I remember reading Dan Corniff saying that like the SSL Dewande bundle or whatever one, it was the best. And then a couple years back, SSL started making their plugins more affordable. And as soon as this one was like 29 bucks, I jumped on it. And it's when I want that solid state Logic compressor sound, this is the one I go for. So let's bring this up to about 80, actually 120 hertz, and take a listen to this one. And I love that this one has oversampling on it. Yeah, that sounds cool. That has like a nice little bite to it. But what if we could take the API 2500 sound and the SSL bus comp sound and meld them together? This Model 5000, which is both of those compressors, like if you were to mash them together, and this is what you would get. And this compressor is really, really, really fun. And it's using their same topology and everything like that. Trans-X is adding harmonics into the signal. Knock is basically emulating the thrust from the API. And then you can pick your different center frequencies. And based on where it's hitting the detector circuit, there's not enough frequencies on any of these you select, you can use the lift. Usually, for me, 30 is pretty cool because of sub frequencies. The compressor just starts reacting really crazy. Let's take a listen. Yeah, God, this thing sounds so cool. Yeah, that thing's sick. I'm a huge fan of what they're doing over there. All right, so another one that I really like from another, I don't know if it's like an indie developer, but the gentleman who owns Fuse Audio Labs, his name's Ray. He programs all the plugins on the Fuse Audio Labs, like that's his company. He also programs plugins or codes plugins for Black Rooster and things like NeoGold or whatever they're called, or maybe that's the plugin's name. But on top of all that, he's also coded plugins for Brainworks. Like there are so many plugins out there that we use every day that guy is responsible for. So he has definitely influenced the entire music world. And yeah, this plugin's pretty cool. I do tend to like a DBX 160 on either a vocal or a drum kick. Outside of that, I won't really touch it. This one just sounds so cool. Yeah. Yeah, there's that sound. It just puts it in the pocket. It's so sick sounding. Now, this one's pretty interesting from Mixland. The owner is like a Grammy-winning mixer, and he's a pretty cool person. Any interaction I've ever had with him via email, he's always a pretty nice and chill individual. Now, I remember seeing this and being like, what the hell is happening? So this plugin at first glance is pretty funny to look at. Like you have these controls and this goes up and like tension does exactly. I love that it's called rubber band compressor and this is literally a rubber band. I remember watching a video with Eric Valentine and him talking about this plugin and saying that he doesn't know what's going on behind the hood, but to him, his ears, it kind of sounds like there's like a distressor thing happening. So I'm bundling this into this section because it has FET and VCA. It has different colors, vintage or modern. It also has frequencies. Now, I don't understand why the high and low frequencies are up here, but the frequencies you select to alter these are down over here. Kind of makes no sense to me, but okay. Saturation is always on. Weight is always on. So is limit and tape. And then you just click on them, you turn them off, and you can easily switch between FET and VCA, and the color will let you immediately know what you got going on. Then crunch is how much saturation you want to push, and snap is exactly that. How much snap from the compressor do you want? It's pretty straightforward. I would put this in line with like the 6030 compressor in terms of how to learn to hear VCA and FET style compression. You only get 3 different modes and you get very little control, which helps kind of just focus on what really matters. You have auto gains already on the EQ. It can be either pre or post compression, as you all know, and I like EQ before compression, so that will stay put. Oversampling, we have 2 and 4. I'm going to put it at 2. We have input, output, and a mix control. Now let's take a listen to it on a kick drum. That's pretty cool. And let's put it on the drum bus now. Take a listen to it over here. The one type of compression that wasn't inside of the 6030 that excited me when I later discovered it is a PWM compressor, which is short for pulse width modulation compression.
Wait, what the hell is pulse width modulation compression? Sounds like it's out of a sci-fi movie.
Unlike traditional gain reduction circuits, PWM changes how long a gain stage is on per waveform cycle. This gives an ultra-transparent feel, especially under dynamic modulation. PMW chops your audio into high-speed pulses and adjusts the width of those pulses to compress the signal. Because of how it works, PWM compressors are insanely fast, great for controlling transients without choking their sound. They're super clean, there's no harmonic distortion unless the plugin adds it on purpose. They can be weirdly invisible, like you can feel the compression but don't hear it working. So let's see what makes PWM one of my secret weapons in a track. So let's dial this in just on the drums. I just really love the sound of a PWM compressor on either drum buses or mix buses. Now, there's surprisingly not a lot of like emulations, but that one has always been a go-to until I've discovered a company called Tone Empire. This is their take on a PWM compressor. Now, what's really interesting about Tone Empire is that they use AI modeling plus their own in-house DSP writing code language, whatever. I'm not a programmer, but what's really interesting is their whole ethos isn't just like, go get the snapshots we need, make the plugin and call it a day. They're really big on, okay, we have our snapshot. Let's go find more of these units around the world and keep taking more like readings or snapshots, whatever they do, and we'll take that data to make the non-linearity within the plugin even better. And to me, I'm just like, cool, that's pretty sick. And when I saw there was another version of the Pi compressor, I had to check it out. There might be more out there that I don't know about, but this was the one that caught my radar and I was like, oh, and it is sick. Now this compressor, there's a couple things I want to go over because when you look at it, it's kind of a little weird looking, but all their plugins pretty much work the same way. So once you understand the layout of one plugin, you understand all of them. Here at the top, you have your high pass filter, low pass filter, your input, your output, and your mix control. They all have that. Then up here, you're gonna see Ultra X. This is basically their version of oversampling. These plugins do sound different when this is engaged to my ear. Without it engaged, I feel like I'm listening to the sound through a blanket. When it's engaged, it sounds freaking great. I don't know what's happening under the hood with that oversampling, but it's great. And I thought it was really cool that they've added these two shelves, highs and lows. The top one goes from 5,000 all the way up to 12K, and then the bottom goes from 60 hertz all the way up to 320 hertz. But down here, there's pre and post. So if you're like me and you like to EQ into compressors, make sure that that is on pre. You have the same very familiar, ratios and everything. I'll put, the one thing I will say is that keep the auto gain on. I usually hate auto gain on compressor plugins. This reacts differently than most auto gain plugins. I don't know what's happening under the hood, but this one actually, like, if without it, I'm trimming the output way too much. Now, the only thing I haven't figured out, and there's no manual, I really wish Tone Empire would do manuals on all their plugins. That's one thing that they don't do, is if it's input or gain reduction, because this thing doesn't really move. So it's hard to tell. So it's really, I listen to it and I'm like, oh, I like what that's doing. But what's really cool about this plugin is H mode, which is their version of hammer mode. This thing sounds freaking awesome and it just pummels your drums. But I'm gonna dial in just the drums here. You see, it just kind of stays there. And let's go to Ultra X. Yeah, it sounds sick. Now let's bring in hammer mode. Let's take a listen to both. God, it's really hard to decide. I'm digging this Pythor. Yeah, that sounds sick. And another type of compression that is a different kind of fun because it's gritty, grabby, and built to leave a mark. It's a style of compression that made me fall in love with the type of character compression can add to a source. Because when you hear a diode bridge compressor doing its thing, you don't wonder if it's working, you feel it right in your chest right away. A diode bridge compressor uses, as you might have guessed, diodes to control the gain reduction. Now, diodes aren't smooth, they don't compress gently. They bend, crunch, and saturate in a way that's full of attitude and character. That's why diode bridge compressors are known for having thick low-mid saturation, a forward, sometimes aggressive mid-range, and a punch that's sometimes unpredictable while also being predictable because it is a compressor and dynamically controlling things. Diode bridge compressors typically react fast but have a slower recovery, which is key to what gives them their chewy, rhythmic bounce. If you push them hard, they're gonna growl, and you ease up and they warm up the source without losing the punch. So this compressor is the one that got me into diode bridge compression, and I don't remember who I saw using it. It could have been TLA or Sheps back in the day. I can't quite remember it, but this is like attitude in a box. Let's take a listen. Yeah, I mean, to this day, this compressor still sounds cool. And then we have this one from my buddy Chris over at Audioscape. He partnered with, I think it's the same programmer over at Mixline and Kive Audio. Oh yeah, this is Kive Audio. I think his name's Eddie. But you got your mix, your input, your output, your oversampling, which is really nice. Harmonic distortion, but they also added a high pass filter and also the stereo, unlinked, or quad mode, which is really nice. And then you also have slow attack, stock, or fast attack, which is really cool. I'm going to keep it pretty much on stock settings, and I'm going to dial it in to try to get a similar vibe to what we just got with the other one. Yeah, this one's pretty cool. And then this one, also again from the guys over at Town Empire. This one, again, a diode bridge, and I'm going to set it to, I'm going to keep it at that attack, but let's take it to 50 milliseconds, which is different than the normal standard 100. Yeah, at 50 milliseconds, it's a little too snappy. It misses some of the glue that this compressor introduces. All right, so let's take a listen to the T-Rax. Yeah, they all sound good. I think for this particular mix, if I was gonna pick, I would probably pick this one. And the only reason I would go for this one as opposed to the other ones on the mix bus on this one is because it's not as grabby and gluey, but it's adding more width to everything and it's not compressing too heavily to where I'm losing like low end and stuff. I would work with that one. And then second would be this Audioscape one.
Didn't think I'm so hard to breathe. Working every day seem to pass by me. I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape. Bloodshot eyes stare into space.
Yeah, I would just mess with the compression amount.
Didn't think I'm so hard to breathe. Working every day.
I bet you though, this one will sound sick on the drum bus. Yeah, the Audioscape one sounds more like what I would want out of a drum bus. Now, if diode bridge compression is a gritty hugger, then opto compression is the gentle hand on your shoulder. Opto compressors tend to have a slow attack and program-dependent release, meaning it responds to how your audio behaves. It has a soft musical curve that rounds off peaks instead of smashing them. And because of this characteristic, that's why opto compressors are legendary for vocals, bass, and pads, and anything that needs to feel smooth and present, not pushed or poked. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not usually a fan of opto compression myself, but let me show you a few that constantly make me question my stance on how I feel about opto compression. So we're gonna listen to something different now. We're gonna go listen to the bass. Why? Because bass is where I feel opto compressors are the best to hear kind of what they're doing. So this one from Tone Empire, again, it's based on a very transparent sounding opto compressor, but it has a really cool vibe to it. And I'm going to put the oversampling on too. Yeah, even compressing that to hell and back still sounds cool, but I also really like this one right here, again from Fuse Audio Labs. What's cool about this one is there's a ratio control, so you can actually get more grimy with it. Yeah, that 8-to-1 ratio gets really spanky. And then another one, probably no surprise, Tone Empire. This one's pretty cool. Let's just take a listen to what this sounds like. And now again, Ultra X without it on just doesn't sound the same to me. yeah, that's just a real fun opto compressor. But there is another, as in Star Wars. This one right here. So looking at this opto compressor, you might be like, oh, this just looks like your standard LA2A. Chill. You have responsiveness, which is going to change how responsive the compressor is to the transients, and you will hear it in a second. You have your compressor limiter, you have the type of link mode that you want, you have more mid presence and treble and saturation. But the really cool part about this particular opto compressor is right here. You have several different modes to choose from. And what I like is like they show you the compression and how it looks, and basically the attack and the release of that compression as well. That's pretty freaking sick. Now let's take a listen. So yeah, based on the character of the model that you go with, you can get a lot of different types of opto compression sounds out of this thing, which is pretty sick. Now, one thing I wish they would do is up here by model, I wish there was like arrows like right here. So you can just swap through the different sounds instead of having to open the menu and go and select. That's the only like design thing I wish they would have thought of. All right. And now there's one more opto compressor that's technically an opto compressor, but also I would say kind of not. It is a opto tube compressor. And it's this one right here, again from Mixline. Slept on. Jesse was nice enough to send this my way when it dropped. And at first I didn't really mess with it because I was like, oh, well, I'm not a big opto fan, so I don't know what I'm going to get out of it. And then I started playing with it one day and I was like, oh shit, sometimes I need to put my own biases aside and like try things out. So let's take a listen. Yeah, that sounds pretty sick. Now, we don't really know what the bass sounds like if we're not listening to it with the drums. So let's go back to all the opto compressors, but this time with drums. Now let's go to this one. Now let's go to this one. All right, so let's listen to this one. Let's go to this one. Let's go to this one. And let's go to Opal. And then let's go to this one. So with the drums on this one, probably go with Opal. So if optical compression is the gentle hand on the shoulder, FET compression is the uppercut punch that comes out of nowhere. Now, FET compressors are known for being crazy fast, aggressive because they grab transients really fast, and colorful because they add grit and mid-range edge. And you're probably very aware of the most famous example, which is the 1176. This FET compressor is behind a million punchy snare sounds and in-your-face vocal takes. Using a FET compressor is like throwing a spotlight on your sound. It doesn't just get louder, it gets closer, more intense, more alive. That's why engineers reach for it when something needs to cut through. You use it when you want people to know it's there and push it up front in the track. Now with FET style compression, I do like the Waves CLA plugins. I'm used to that sound, but There are a couple of other FET style compressors that are really, really cool. And one of them is actually from a newer company that is using machine learning, I believe, or AI modeling. And they've designed this plugin. I think they're called like Tree DSP or Dirty Tree DSP, something like that. So let me just let you hear it on a vocal.
I didn't become so hard to breathe. Why did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape. Bloodshot eyes stare into space. Why did it become so hard to breathe? Why did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape. Bloodshot eyes stare into space. Why did it become so hard to breathe? Why did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape.
And actually, let's bring in this NN76 to the snare drum, where I tend to like the sound of a 76.
Why did it become so hard to breathe? Why did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape. Bloodshot eyes stare into space. Why did it become so hard to breathe? Why did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape.
Let's bring in the snare bottom. I usually like to really punish that too.
Why did it become so hard to breathe? Why did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running.
Oh, I like that sound already. I love a fat snare. Listen to that snap. So what I'm listening for is the sweet spot of when the transient can poke through but get grabbed fast enough by the FET compressor to where it fattens up the sound and kind of brings the body forward a little bit, because without it, it's very transient heavy. I am not afraid to hit a compressor. Yeah, actually, what might be fun is to play the CLA 76 afterwards too. Bring this over here, bring this up to 20. I do think it's weird that aside from the UI being a little dark for my taste, and like sometimes I'm like, what am I looking at? The mix control is kind of buried. I wish the font or like the letters could be like a brighter white, but there's no all buttons in mode from what I can tell. And I just think it's weird not to have that flexibility on a 76 model. So hopefully that's something that the developer is taking care of. Seems like a cool person, so I'm sure that's something on their radar. To my ear, the N76 has a more balanced tone, whereas the CLA 76 it's a more mid-range forward, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a preference thing. Also, all these decisions don't make a lot of sense right now because I'm in solo and not in context. So one of them might actually be better suited for the drum sound. So let's actually solo the drums and play with that. All right, that focuses the snare a little bit more. Let's bring in this one. This is just this shootout. I have no bias. Again, I still use a CLA 76, but right now for me, the splat that I'm still getting from this N76 is really helping it come through within the drum track more. Oh, yeah, you can hear that the CLA 76, even when I'm messing with the settings, it's still kind of killing that splat. I think that's getting closer. To my ear, in this particular case, the 76 is just sounding more like a 76 going through a snare. The CLA 76, it has a cool vibe. It's just not the vibe I'm looking for right now. AI modeling whatever is happening under the hood, it's pretty cool. It's just another really sick option.
I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape. Bloodshot eyes stare into space. When did it become so hard to breathe? When did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity.
So that one's pretty cool. There's another it's not a 76, but it is a FET style compressor that I really like, and it's this one right here. And we're gonna take a listen to this one, but I'm gonna turn off the saturation, and we'll go over that in a second.
When did it become so hard to breathe? When did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything! Take me to eternity! Running in circles, there is no escape! Bloodshot eyes stare into space! When did it become so hard to breathe? When did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything! Take me to eternity! Running in circles, there is no escape! Bloodshot eyes stare into space! When did it become so hard to breathe? When did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything! Take me to eternity! Running in circles, there is no escape! Bloodshot eyes stare into space! When did it become so hard to breathe? When did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything! Take me to eternity! Running in circles, there is no
So This one from Pulsar Audio is pretty cool. What first turned me on to the 1178 wasn't just the MIC DSP SST78 model that you saw in the 6030 compressor. In an old interview that I saw with Chris Lord Algae, if you look in the back of his studio rack, if the studio still looks the same, but in the video that I watched, at the very bottom or bottom-ish of like a rack behind him were these like FET looking compressors, and I was like, what the hell are those? And then when I looked further into it, they were 1178s, and then no plugin company had 1178s. So this is Pulsar Audio's modulation rendition, or whatever you want to call it, of 1178, but it goes a little bit further than that because the 1178 has a more transparent sound than a regular 76, and just like the Revs and the Blueies, they all have like a different character to them, but they're all built around the FET style compression that we're all used to hearing. This one also has sidechain available on it, but what makes this one special is the saturation characteristics. So triode is a very aggressive, bitey, I think third harmonic style of sound on this thing. Warm is going to be more smooth and even, and I believe it leaves the low frequencies alone. Then you have your tape, and then you have your clip. And as we went through them, you can hear like their saturation sounds very drastic depending on what you go with.
I didn't think I'm so hard to breathe. Why did every day seem to pass by me? I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape.
The triode to me just sounds like it hugs his vocal harmonically a little bit better, but like you heard the Warm in the clip just do something crazy, and you might be like, when would you want that? Probably on drums. Drums, or just something that needs a little grit and grime to it.
I didn't think I'm so hard to breathe. Why did it?
But that's not the only one. Actually, the other one I got turned on to because my buddy once, I was having trouble with overheads. He was like, oh dude, throw on the purple. Now I had the purple from back in my Pro Tools days and I wasn't a big fan of it, but this one on overheads does sound cool. Let's take a listen. Now, FET and opto compression are one of the most popular types of compression to be used in combination. But one of the best combinations of using two compressors I've ever experienced was back when I was interning at a studio in downtown San Diego. The in-house mastering engineer had a really gnarly, huge looking thing on his desk, and it looked like something that would command the USS Enterprise. And I asked him what it was, and his face lit up. He was so stoked to talk about this compressor because it sounded amazing and cost him $10,000. Yeah, $10,000. I nearly shit myself when he told me. But he loved his Shadows Hill compressor and wished he could listen to everything on it. Now, when I got to play with it in the studio, I didn't really hear it. It wasn't until almost a decade later in Los Angeles, I'd hear another one in real life and be like, oh shit. Now, what makes a Shadow Hill so unique is that most compressors are one stage. The Shadow Hills is a two-stage compressor. There's an opto compressor stage, as well as an additional VCA stage. But you're probably thinking,
I have an opto compressor and a VCA already. Why would I need to get another plugin?
and you're right. But what makes this compressor so loved is the tone section, which lets you pick between different transformers. Nickel's gonna give you a clean, elegant, and transparent sound. Iron is gonna be more warm, vintage, and mid-forward. And steel is gonna be bold, thick, and saturated. These change how the output sounds, adding distinct harmonic flavors to the final signal. And it's important to know the output transformer section shapes the tone post-compression. They don't change the compressor's behavior, just the final harmonic color. Now with the Shadow Hills compressors, I like both of them. Now the red is based on a Class A version, which they only made 50 units for. It's thought of as like punchier, faster, and more versatile in the VCA section. And it delivers a like richer and thicker tone. And when you set it to equal settings, it does behave a little bit hotter than the regular one, which is this one right here. I like this on a mix bus. It's cool on a drum bus, but we're gonna dial in on the mix bus because I'm tired of listening to drums, as I'm sure you probably are too. That sounds pretty freaking great. Let's go over here to this one now.
Didn't think I'm so hard to breathe. Working every day seem to pass by me. I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape. Bloodshot eyes stare into space. Didn't think I'm so hard to breathe. Working every day seem to pass by me. I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape. Bloodshot eyes stare into space. Didn't think I'm so hard to breathe. Working every day seem to pass by me. I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape. Bloodshot eyes stare into space. Didn't think I'm so hard to breathe. Working every day seem to pass by me. I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity. Running in circles, there is no escape. Bloodshot eyes stare.
And let's take a listen to the red again.
Didn't think I'm so hard to breathe. Working every day seem to pass by me.
Let's see if I can get these both on screen. There we go. All right, so we're listening to the red.
Didn't think I'm so hard to breathe. Working every day seem to pass by me. I can't feel anything. Take me to eternity.
But now this type of compression has absolutely changed how I approach any mix. Is very mu compression. It's an old school compression style that uses vacuum tubes to control level. And the way it reacts is different from anything else. The more signal you push in, the more compression happens, but not linearly. Its response is smooth, round, and organic, and it adds this natural harmonic saturation that just makes everything feel thicker and alive. Using Varimu tube compression is like wrapping your sound in a cozy warm blanket. It gently hugs transients, glues the low mids, and adds this pillowy saturation that is so addicting to listen to. This is the kind of compression where even with minimal gain reduction, the tube stage adds saturation and cohesion. Even with no gain reduction, the tone just sweetens up. All right, so this plugin is pretty cool. I used to use the Pewtech and I forgot which other Fairchild compressor, but I kind of stopped using the Fairchilds because they just never sounded how I wanted them to sound. And about a year ago or so, Eric Valentine teamed up with Mixland to create a plugin version of his Unfairchild. Now, I am a huge Eric Valentine fan, so when I found that out, I was like, I need to get my hands on that because Fairchilds are cool, but I feel like because of their character, they're usually pretty good at slower tempo stuff. When it comes to the type of music I work on, it just never gave me that mojo I wanted. But Mr. Valentine is what I would call a rock producer. He's behind some of the biggest rock hits. So I had a feeling that based on the videos that I've seen of his actual hardware unit, that this one would be pretty cool. And I must say, this one's pretty fun. So let's dial in with the whole chorus playing of this song.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with light.
All right, so I'm going to actually bring it to mid side.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies. Wasting away, I can't.
All right, so at first sight, you might be like, oh man, that's louder. How do we fix that? So if you look over here, there's these two little screws right here, where we can take care of the makeup gain.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
feel like with stereo, it's cool, but it's not like the same effect. The mid side, for some reason, I like that mode on here. But what's cool too is you can come down here and there are actually like different parameters for how you can change the attack and the release.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
And then the DC threshold is kind of changing how the compression feels a little bit.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
That, to my ear, sounds pretty sick. This one I stole from Eric Valentine also, because I saw him using it quite a bit in his mix videos, and I was like, huh, let's try that one out and let's take a listen.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away.
Yeah, just like everything else Kush Audio, this thing just sounds freaking awesome. So good. Literally works. Besides on the mix bus, it sounds good everywhere all the time. It's great. But there is also another one that I really like. This one's from Fuse Audio Labs again. It's got a warmer, thicker mid-range, so I wouldn't use it necessarily on this type of track, but a more mid-tempo rock song or maybe a ballad song, and this thing can sound pretty thick.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me.
Man, it's so easy to hear the compressor and like how it's like moving the music. It's very, I don't want to say pumpy, but you can definitely feel when it's like easing off a little bit. It's so crazy. Let's actually dial back how much of it we're hitting.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
Yeah, subtle. It's kissing it just right for this particular track because of how like movie and rubber bandy it is. But that one is sick. This one's pretty cool too. I pretty much like anything from Fuse Audio Labs.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't
yeah, like listen to how everything's kind of wide and kind of moving, and this one just hugs it all in a very nice way, and it keeps it rounded and warm.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This way is
It's so good, and it just needs to kiss it. That's what's great about it. It just needs to kiss it a little bit. Now, if you want a more transparent but tubey sound, this one's cool too from Pulsar Audio. This is their NU limiter. It's based on something that may look familiar, and let's take a listen to this one.
wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This way is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This way is crushing me.
This one is so cool because of how it's so grabby. Like the attack is pretty fast, but the faster we go with the release, it's like we lose the glue that's happening with this particular compressor.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This way is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind.
And then next is this very mute compressor from Fuse Audio Labs as well.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This way is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This way is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel
There's
anything.
something about the way tube compression grabs things in the mids that I cannot get enough of. But yeah, the Fuse Audio Labs are really fun. If you want a grabby tube compressor, but that's more transparent and not so much of the Mojo vibe, this one's pretty cool.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This way is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This way is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
All the low mids just come up with this thing, but it does it in a really cool musical way. Yeah, I'm late to the Pulsar train. After the 78, everything else got on my radar, and I was just like, oh crap, like these guys make really good stuff. And I did a video actually on their vocal studio plugin, which really surprised me. I didn't expect it to sound that amazing. And then we have this one from Wave Grove. This one's like, I think this one is supposed to be a mastering compressor, but it sounds pretty sick on a mix bus. It's grabby, it's vibey, it's kind of like the Mew, but also it has its own character.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This way is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
To my ear, this compressor just hugs everything very evenly. It's like a transparent musical compressor. I don't know those are the right words to describe it, but what I really appreciate is the triode and pentode saturation options, plus the feedback and feed forward. Some of the compressors throughout the video I've had this. It really gives a lot of options, and then there is the auto release that you can have on actual sync tempo, which is pretty sick. I think for this one, 16th might be better.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting,
Actually, I think I like the way eighth notes feels.
wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me.
Now, something that's pretty cool is the variable gain before the tubes.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me.
But yeah, this HCL Varus compressor, it's, I think, meant for mastering, but it sounds really cool when it works. It just has a lot of character, and it works really great on buses and stuff. But I do want to come to this compressor. Now, this one's pretty sick, and it's from Sonimus. Now, they've been around for a really long time, but for some reason, they seem to be like one of those companies that people forget exist, or I don't know what it is, but they make really cool stuff. They just like dropped a bunch of console saturation plugins. They're actually really good. I think they got the API, a Trident, and a Neve inspired console emulation. And this thing is vibey, it's gluey, it's fun. It just well, here, you can hear it for yourself.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
thing just sounds really warm. So amount is the amount of compression. Then you have 4 different modes. This is a compressor on slow attack, fast attack, and then it has the limiter section, which is on slow attack or fast attack. And you have the mix control, a sidechain filter, can add some more drive. But something that's really, really thoughtful is up here. You can choose between throwing this thing into mono, stereo vintage, which is just your traditional like left and right channels are both being compressed at the same time. You got stereo modern, which basically separates them and puts the greater gain value added back to either the left or right, but still keeps a more stereo spread. And then you have a dual mono, and they all have a very like, well, here, you can hear it.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away,
So by default, I believe stereo vintage is on. No surprise, stereo modern is, in my opinion, the cooler sounding one in this case. But I'm going to leave this on for now because I want to go to the guitar bus, add it here as well. Yep, stereo vintage. So let's bring this on to modern. All right. Let's bring this into the track.
wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This way, wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight is crushing me. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind, filling with lies, lies. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. This weight,
You can really hear the grabbiness of this kind of disappear.
wasting away, I can't feel anything.
Really, really thick in the mid-range. You don't need to do too much heavy-handedly with it. All right, now let's talk about some cool tubey vocal compressors. Now this one I know what it sounds like in real life because Bo has one in his studio. And I'm gonna go to triple mode and fast recovery, and you can hear it for yourself.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
And we go to modded.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. 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 Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
It just makes the vocal sound thicker without overwhelming or changing the vocal. And another one I like to throw on here is this one, which is more or less the same type of flavor. And let's take a listen to this.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. 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 Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
Yeah, that's tight. All right, and then there's a couple of compressors that are within what I would call the same family. All right, so Royal Compressor, I'm just gonna play them so you can hear it because they sound like so good.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. Wasting away, I can't feel anything. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
I mean, it kind of speaks for itself.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
For this vocal, it just brings it up.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
All right, and then let's go to this Fuse Audio Labs one. No surprise. This one you have a little bit more control. We're gonna bring this around here.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. 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 Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
Yep, that one has great vibe. And then this one was actually the one that got me down this rabbit hole of these style of compressors. I saw a video with Tony Maserati, and the way he uses this compressor is he sends it to a parallel mix bus that has an instance of, I believe, S1 that's stereo widening. I covered it in an old video. I think it was like Mix Bus Tricks or something like that. I can't remember the name of the title of the video. And then he compressed the stereo spread signal and then blended it back in, and it just brought way more like width and depth to the entire mix. And I downloaded it. I was like, oh, this thing is crazy cool sounding. And then yeah, I started going down the rabbit hole, and these are the three that I think I've found that are this style of compressor. But let's play this one too.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. 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 Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
Yeah, this compressor just, they all have so much vibe.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
I like the aggressive, I think I like the aggressiveness of this one.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
All right, and there's, let's see, when it comes to vocals, I also like this one. This one sounds pretty sick on just about everything.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. 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 Wasting away, I can't feel anything.
That just sounds so good too.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. 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 I'm filling with lies.
let's have some fun with what I like to refer to as hybrid compressors. A lot of these are just compressors that they do different things and they're not modeling anything specifically. They're like modded versions of something that the designer wanted to have happened, and or they just are hybrids. Now, the first one I want to start with is like an oldie but a goodie, and this one's from Kush Audio. And we're going to go back to drums on this. So at first, when you turn this off, you're just like, what are you looking at? Luckily, they have this right here. So you got a bunch of cool stuff. So basically at the heart of this thing is it's a diode compressor, but you have a lot of cool options when it comes to the flavors that you can add to this thing to give it distortion, and then you can push the drive however you want. So let's play this chorus now. And then right here, we can change the threshold of how smacky the diode limiter is. Right here is our attack, and right here is our release. Yeah, this one's really cool. It's like compression, transformer saturation. Yeah, it's got a totally different vibe, but having these different flavors here that you can really adjust. Are you wondering why would you ever want to get like this? Rooms. Like this thing is really fun on rooms. I know I'm doing it on the whole drum kit, but rooms are where it's at. Honestly, you can't go wrong with anything from Kush Audio. They're like one of the few companies that every compressor they make in the box is just so freaking good. All right. For some reason, this one's always on triple mode and it throws me off, even though the colors follow exactly what's going on here. It just, my brain's like, no, that's not what we're seeing. Now, this one is also a diode type compressor, and it's really like musical and aggressive at the same time. Yeah, this one's so sick. So you have 2 different types of saturation, and you click Fury, and you're in different one. You have 4 different ratios. You can blend between the saturation and the compression, and then you can do a boost of the sidechain signal if you would like to. Yeah, that's just a cool compressor, and boom, basically go buy all the Kush Audio compressors. Now this one's a little warmer sounding. It's just got a vibe to it like every other Kush product. This thing's so bombastic, it like, yeah, it sounds great. But here's what's really cool is you can like, I like these levers. This is your saturation. It's like, all right, here we go. It's super over the top. Yeah, this one has like a very gluey, almost transparent vibe to it, but it's so cool sounding. And then this one is so rad to look at just because it just doesn't look like other compressor plugins. Now, this one's based on the UBK hardware. So at first, when you're looking at this thing, it's kind of intimidating. You have your saturation on the input, you have your saturation on the output. In the center is where the compression's happening. So you have high pass filter. Then you have these different flavors of compression. And just like in Novatron, if you push the center up, then you have your bass, 2 mid controls, the top, then some headroom controls and dry and blend. But that's enough talking. Let's actually hear it. This thing, there's just so much you can do with it. So that's the UBK. Next, I've covered this one before, but I gotta cover it again just because it sounds so sick. So this one has a compressor, saturation, transient, and equalizer on it, plus a mix control, and it sounds absolutely ridiculous. All right, so let's talk about what everything is. So we have 3 different compression flavors, and then we have a mix control as well, plus a high pass and plus a sidechain filter. Next to it, we have the saturation with 3 different flavors, and then all the way over here, we also have transient control and the EQ, and we can put the equalizer pre or post, and you already know I'm going to go pre on that. And then some of these controls, we can actually link them together in a way to where when you see how these like red lines exist, this can basically punish the ranges of which like you want processing to start. And this thing was actually designed for trailer music, but it sounds really, really sick on drums too. All right, so this might sound over the top, and that's why we have a mix control. Sick. Now the next one is this one from Cornef Audio. This one is like a hybrid. It has FET processing, but it feels like a VCA sometimes. But I am going to play this on the snare track. Now, here's the cool part with these plugins is when you click here, you have way more options to do different things. You're going to see in the transformer, we have some familiar looking transformers. I mean, you can hear it. This thing just sounds brutal. Another cheat code plugin for snares is this one right here. All right, and because it sounds over the top, which is the whole point, we have a mix blend on there. This one on a parallel snare bus can really change the whole vibe of everything. And if we come down here, snare bottom, this is another one from Cornef Audio, but it's really cool on snare bottoms. All right. Now, there are two more cheat code plugins here. First one is this one right here. Honestly, I just put on default and I mess with this function and some cool stuff happens. I really haven't read the manual. I just saw Adam Hawkins use it in a mix breakdown on the drum bus, and I was like, that sounds incredible, and I stole it. This new one is so sick. This one's from a new company called Audio Punks, and it's modeled after the Spectra compressor limiter. It's such a different type of compressor. I don't know the modeling that's happening underneath, but every parameter, it's kind of like some compressors, you move one or two knobs and like things happen, but it's like the combination of those things to happen takes a lot more tweaking and moving things around. This one, every little move makes a huge difference. So it's like once you have the setting you like, it's kind of like leave it alone because it's so sensitive. You got to hear it for yourself. So right here, it's really hard to see, but this is the threshold meter. And if you bring this thing to 10, what happens is that it will actually shave off peaks as you bring the input in. This is pretty cool if you want to put it in front of another unit so it just catches the peaks, but then you can just bring it back down. So this control unlinks the stereo unit, and then you have your mix control. And yeah, using this thing ideally on like drum rooms can really help open things up, but it has a very bombastic sound. So it doesn't even have to be drum rooms. It can be like crazy orchestral trailer drums that you just want to sound huge when they get hit. This thing is great for that. It's just going to take whatever source you throw at it and just blow the crap out of it. But the parameters are so sensitive. So when you push the input and you mess with the slope and the release, you're going to hear exactly like what little moves are going to do to change how this compressor reacts. It's freaking awesome.
Wasting away, I can't feel anything. An empty mind.
Learning compression isn't just about memorizing settings and knowing what each control does. It's about knowing how these compressors are building emotional control over your tracks. And that's what changes everything. And if you're ready to take compression further without getting lost in settings or second guessing every move, I put together the Punch Map compression cheat sheet. It's filled with the exact moves you can use to make compression feel more alive, feel more musical, and way more you. Now you can use any of these compressors to dial in all the punch, impact, and glue in the world. But if the space doesn't make any sense, your mix is gonna fall apart. Compression gives you control, but reverb gives the track context. And the wrong context, it makes your track feel fake, flat, and forgettable. That's exactly why you need to watch this next video, where I reveal the most powerful and versatile reverbs you've probably never seen. And they'll completely change the way you make music forever.